Wow, yeah, he does. It's just like a catfish.
Hmm?
It's a goldfish.
No, I walked around the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
All right, thanks for joining us again for our field trip to the Rosicrucian Museum, Part 3. The exhibits and artifacts you're going to see in this presentation and the narration you're going to hear me doing is what they have here at the Rosicrucian Museum. So take it the way you want to take it. I know everybody has opinions off of all of this information. They always say dodge the hijacks, so you find out what a hijack is in the presentation. We are just presenting the information to you as presented at the museum. The roots of alchemy are buried in the fertile black dirt of the Nile's Delta. In fact, the very word alchemy comes from the Arabic alchemia, which literally means the black soil of Egypt. From Alexandria, the teachings of alchemy spread throughout the Mediterranean region, Arabia, Europe, and on to India and China. These teachings are summarized in the Emerald Tablet, which is the core text of alchemy. The simplest terms, alchemy is the art of transformation. It attempts to unveil the universal principles behind growth and change. The focus of this work, known as the Great Work, is not limited to the physical world, but encompasses all levels of reality, including psychological and spiritual realms. The scribe is one with Osiris. Goddess Isis and Neith look on with pleasure as the scribe joins Horus in pouring water over offerings to Osiris to activate them. The deceased has passed his judgment test and has become one with Osiris, the resurrecting god. New Kingdom, Wood, Pigment, BC 616. coffin of Tehur with her mummy. Tehur's title was Lady of the House. Her father was Seal, Master of the Temple of Amun at Karnak, and her mother's name was Lulu. Her teeth tell us she was about 28. Dynasty 26, human remains, linen, wood, pigment. RC 1677, 2249. Pottery offerings. Ceramic was the plastic of the ancient world, cheap, durable, and easy to produce. Offerings for the dead and the living were transported and delivered in ceramic pottery. Various time periods, ceramic. Ramses II, often referred to as Ramses the Great, constructed many monuments throughout Egypt, including the famous temple of Abu Simbel. Ramses II reigned for 67 years and waged a military campaign against Egypt's neighbors, the Hittites. Later, Ramses signed a treaty with his foes and forged a political alliance by marrying two Hittite princesses. Ramses II lived to be 96 years old, with 96 sons and 60 daughters, by about 200 wives and concubines. This cast of Ramses II was created for the British Museum by the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. When the institution that is now the Victoria and Albert Museum was established in 1852, it was called the Museum of Manufacturers. Two of the museum's stated purposes were the improvement of public taste in design and the application of fine art to objects of utility. When this cast was made in 1933, shipping to San Jose was no small feat. In fact, this piece traveled by both boats and carriage. Cast obtained in 1933 from the British Museum, RC 732.
Egyptians worshipped hundreds, if not thousands, of gods and goddesses. One of the interesting things about these many gods and goddesses is the fact that they often shared attributes and roles with each other. Isis, for instance, was the mistress of magic. However, she often wore the same headdress as her sister, Hathor, the mistress of love and music. This associated the two goddesses with each other. To the ancient Egyptians, the world was alive with spirituality and powerful forces. An often used definition of magic is to attempt to affect the workings of the physical world through spiritual means. In this way, the people of Egypt could take some control for themselves by offering, praying, and hoping for help rather than sitting helpless in worrisome situations. This gallery is dedicated to the goddess Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of warfare, the hot desert sun, plague, and conversely, healing. The ancient Egyptians had a strong sense of homeopathy, in which that which causes a problem can solve a problem. The Egyptians reasoned that if Sekhmet could cause a plague, she could certainly heal the sufferers of the plague as well. And which would you rather have as your bodyguard or guardian? A bunny or a lion? That is why, in war, Sekhmet was seen as the protector of the king as he drove his chariot into the thick of battle. In the artifact cases in this gallery, you can see the tools of the trade used to honor gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt. Incense was believed to be the sweet smell of the gods, and music, made by a sistrum, was thought to pacify these powerful beings. Images of deceased priests and priestesses would be placed in the temples, eternally worshipping their charges. Food and drink was offered each day to the image in the temple, and the image was dressed each morning as if it were alive. The Egyptians knew that the statue did not come to life and physically enjoy the food and clothing, yet they believed that the spirit of the god or goddess would enjoy the spirit of the food and linen. Sekhmet, like other gods and goddesses, shared attributes with others. In the cases of this gallery, you can see images of goddesses who were all linked in one way or another. It is impossible for us to draw a sharp line when identifying gods and goddesses. Some Egyptologists, such as Eric Hornung, feel that the Egyptians' understanding of religion was actually very complex, more so than has been understood in the past. With all of the goddesses and gods somehow associating with each other, the Egyptians, on a very deep level, had a sense of male divine, all of the gods together, and female divine, all of the goddesses together, balancing against each other. In this sense, they were really facets of a different religious concept, perhaps even approaching monotheism, which of course was more fully explored during the Amarna period under Pharaoh Akhenaten, which is described in the next gallery.
Akhenaten face. The manner in which Akhenaten depicted himself art changed throughout his reign. During the first 4 years, he went by the name Amenhotep IV and had himself shown in the traditional manner of the pharaohs. As his religious revolution progressed, the manner in which he chose to depict himself evolved. At the beginning of his revolution, Akhenaten was shown with highly stylized features, such as an elongated face, full hips, and a slender torso. It has been suggested that this level of stylization may have been used as a method of identifying the king's uniqueness, or in some way identifying him with the Aten. Later, the art takes on a more naturalistic quality, and Akhenaten appears to depict more realistic images of himself and his family. It is during this time that the famous bust of Nefertiti was created. This piece clearly displays some of the stylization that was present in Amarna art. When casts such as these are made, they are not always solid. For example, this piece is only about 2 inches thick, and the center is hollow like a mask. Artistic rendition of original statue in the Luxor Museum. So again, we are visiting the Rosicrucian Museum here in San Jose, California. These are official artifacts that was, according to the Rosicrucian Museum, found in Africa. I want you to check out the headdress on these artifacts and take it for what it's worth. This was our visit to the Rosicrucian Museum, and these were our ancient artifacts that they have there. Some are artifacts that they claim go back and were found in tombs. Some are artifacts that were made in reportedly the 1800s and after the ancient period. But tell us what you think about it in the comment section. Again, appreciate you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to us on several different platforms, YouTube and TikTok. also find us, Still AM Dynasty, still around on Fanbase, our Patreon channel, and several other social media platforms. So again, like, share, subscribe, and thanks for joining us in part 3 of our trip to the Rosicrucian Museum right here in San Jose, California. Catch you on the next one.